The Oregon Ducks just got sneaky good news. Let's talk about it. My name's Paul, and together with my buddy Aaron, we are the Big Ten guys. Tune in daily for news, insights, analysis, anything you could ever want Big Ten. This is the channel for you. So take a quick second, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and get some alerts on because we got a lot more Oregon and Big Ten content coming. You don't want to miss out. So let's dive right into it. Some sneaky good news from Oregon. Actually, you might even get some bonus sneaky good news if you stick around long enough. But let's start with Mackay Hughes being named to the Maxwell Award watch list. Now, why is this big, you might ask? Because Oregon lost so much to the NFL. It's hard to know what to expect from them this year. You know, Jordan James obviously is gone at running back. Dylan Gabriel's gone. Tez Johnson's gone. And I think a lot of people are wondering, what is this Oregon team going to look like this year? And, you know, they brought in Mackay Hughes from Tulane. He, if you look at his numbers the last 2 years from Tulane, he tore it up. But I think a lot of people are wondering, okay, you tore it up at Tulane, but what are you going to do in the Big Ten, the most physical conference in the country? And I think it is a really positive sign that people are already putting him on like the Maxwell Award watch list. I've seen a lot of people mention him as a likely candidate to be on one of the all-conference teams, maybe behind one of the Penn State running backs. But people are really high on Mackay Hughes, and he will be a big part of this offense. And, you know, just kind of diving into last year's team, obviously, as I said, Dylan Gabriel, Jordan James, Tez Johnson's in the NFL, Trayshawn Holden's in the NFL, Terrence Ferguson is in the NFL. Evan Stewart was going to be one of the few big names coming back, but it sounds like he is likely going to be out for the season with that torn patellar tendon. So any news about a player who people are high on is big time news for the Oregon Ducks. And as I promised, I had more than one bit of good news for you. And that is another Oregon skill player getting some national attention. A guy we've already talked about a couple times on this show, but I'm not sure you can talk about him enough. And that is Dorian Moore out of Oregon. So CBS Sports recently came out with a list of true freshmen who they think are ready for the big stage from day one and are ready to light it up from the very beginning. And not only do they list Dorian Moore here, they compare him to being the 2025 version of Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams, which that is incredibly high praise. Those two, unfortunately, Oregon fans, I'm sure you're well aware of what Jeremiah Smith can do. He did it a lot in that Rose Bowl game. But they believe Dorian Moore is that caliber of player. And I think he is going to be huge for the Ducks this year. Looking back at their returning receivers, they have Kyle Casper and Gary Bryant are who most people all the way down here are projecting as the likely starters alongside Dorian Moore. Now, obviously, their numbers last year, not super impressive, but Kyle Casper, I believe, is 6'5". I could see him. There, now you can see him. I could see Kyle Casper being just a beast in the red zone. And Gary Bryant has actually had some good years with the Ducks and with USC. He just kind of struggled with injury last year, but hopefully he's healthy. Everything seems to be going well with him so far. So I think Oregon is going to have a pretty good trio of wide receivers. But even more on Dorian Moore, and this might be the most important thing that we've seen from about him thus far, is that Dan Lanning believes that he is already stepping into a leadership role on the Ducks. And that is big time news, because these freshmen coming in, like, they're 17, 18 years old. I'm sure you remember being 17 or 18. I know when I was 17 or 18, I was not ready to be a 1,200-yard, 15-touchdown receiver. I could barely even wake up and go to class at that age. So to hear that he's already stepping into a leadership role, people are buying into what he's saying, is just awesome. And I think Dan Lanning's approach to leadership is just so important. He talked about, like, we don't just want 2 or 3 leaders on this team. We want 35 of them, I think he says. And you look at like what happened at Maryland last year. Their coach was just talking about, like, their locker room was divided. Like, in this NIL era, it's so hard to keep your locker room together. You got, some guys in there making a couple $100. You got some guys in that locker room making $5 million. How do you keep them happy? It's so difficult in this day and age. So for Dan Lanning to take such pride in making leaders on his team and to be working so hard and be so intentional about it is huge. And to see freshmen with the talent of Dorian Moore, a lot of talented freshmen like that are coming in thinking they're hot stuff, not wanting to listen to people, not wanting to be a leader. But Dorian Moore already is showing that he's ready to be a vocal leader in that locker room. So I think him and Mekhi Hughes are going to be great from day one. And the good news, Oregon fans, is you guys are going to get 4 games. Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State. 4 easy wins. Probably 4 double-digit wins. Kudos to you, by the way, for scheduling both Oregon State and Oklahoma State, University of Oregon. That not a lot of people are playing 10. I guess Oregon State's not technically a Power 4 school, but I still consider them one. That's 10 tough games, but thankfully neither of these 2 teams were very good last year. I think Oklahoma State went 3-9. Oregon State was like 5 or 7 or something like that. That should be an easy 4-0, 4 double-digit wins, probably some 30, 40-point wins over Montana State and Northwestern before you get into that Happy Valley game. Last I saw, I think Oregon's a 5.5-point dog, which at Happy Valley, that's showing some respect for what this Oregon program's bringing. I've seen a lot of people believe Penn State is the number 1 team in the country this year. That is one of the toughest stadiums to play in. If you haven't learned that yet, Oregon, you will very quickly. That's not a stadium, when they have that whiteout going, especially if it's a night game. I expect that one. Oh, it is a night. Yep, 7:30 on Peacock. That's going to be a night game. That'll be a tough one. But then, Indiana, they should be solid this year, but at home, I like Oregon there. At Iowa's tough. At Washington's tough. USC's tough. But I think it's going to be big for a team who's bringing in a lot of talent, especially, I'll link one of our first Oregon videos. We really dove into their O-line and how much talent they're bringing into the portal from the O-line. I'll have that linked at the end of this video, but just to get those 4 games to kind of mesh, get Dorian Moore comfortable out there, get Dante Moore comfortable out there, just work on being a cohesive unit before you get into some of these big-time games. And I think this has the potential to be another playoff team this year. So, Oregon fans, I would love to hear from you. Hit me up in the comments. Which skill player do you think is going to step up this year? Do you like Mekhi Hughes? Do you like Dorian Moore? Do you like one of these other guys I talked about? Record predictions. What games do you think are going to be surprisingly tough? Just love to hear from you in the comments. So thank you for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe on your way out. And we will see you later with some more Oregon and Big Ten content.